Welcome to the Couple-preneurs Show, helping couples in business develop structure and strategies that nurture the balance between business and home, bringing you interviews and insights to give you the secret sauce of power couples. Here are your hosts, Oscar and Kiya Frazier.
Couple-preneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, those looking to get into business for themselves. If any of these things sound remotely like you, this show is absolutely for you. Man, we've made it. We're at the end of the year. Gosh, man, this 2021 has been quite the journey, has it not?
It has. It definitely has. It's had a lot of great revelations that have come through as far as the show goes, as far as, us in business go. I mean, we've had a great year.
Yeah. And just, I guess, a quick shameless plug. In 2022, you'll be hearing a lot more of my voice and a lot more of Kiya's design expertise, because we're going to be going out and starting to do some more motivational sort of short clips and videos. And you can get more information about that at oscarfrazier.com. That's OSCARFRAZIER.com.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
So, Oscar, looking back on all the shows that we've done this year, what are some of the things that stands out to you? What are some of the nuggets of advice that just ring loud and clear for you?
First and foremost, just the amazing people and the amazing amount of small business owners, whether they be couple-preneurs or entrepreneurs, in the singular form. All of them have just been so impressive. I mean, we've had some of the best people, just talk about their life and how they actually got started. And it's actually motivating, man. I mean, I can't say enough. I mean, I remember just to talk to some of the folks that I actually went to like grade school with, and to know that now these people are successful entrepreneurs, really doing well, and they've got a story to tell. Like, that's been probably the biggest and most remarkable thing for me.
I think some of the things that stood out were finding out there were some similarities, right? Especially with the couple-preneurs that we interviewed. Finding out that, there were cases where some people had lost their jobs similar to us.
Yeah.
We could relate to each other through that. There was that moment when somebody might have been still working at 9 to 5 and trying to be an entrepreneur at the same time or get their project off the ground.
Yeah.
And it became a time where either they worked themselves out of that 9 to 5, or they just decided, okay, I can't do this 9 to 5 anymore. I've got to put everything I've got into my business,
I tell you something that's interesting about what you just said. So in business, and most of the people that have formulated a successful business can probably relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
When you are at that crossroads, and we all know what that crossroad is, that's like when you're like, do I go left or do I go right? Right? Either something is gone wrong with your current job, or something's happening in your life where there's like this life-changing thing going on. And then all of a sudden you have to make a determination of, do I stay with the status quo, or do I venture out on my own?
Right.
And I remember, I think in talking to so many people this year and hearing them talk about like that moment when they had to make that change, to me, like, that's probably one of the most inspirational things that I could ever even think of. I mean, most of the time when I am looking for motivation or for, how do I get to that next level? Most of the time it's based upon listening to someone else's triumph, right? It's about sitting down and putting on my headsets and listening to all of these entrepreneurs and people that were out there trying to make it and how they made it. Right. And that essentially is what keeps me motivated. So it's my hope that the people that have tuned in and listened to all of the couple-preneurs and entrepreneurs this year, that they have found some level of motivation from listening.
I think there's no difference between an entrepreneur and a person that's working a 9 to 5, except for the fact that somebody decides to take that leap and make that decision to just do this for themselves, and there's really that thin line. That's really the difference. And I think a lot of people are scared of that line. They're scared to kind of touch that line or straddle that line or even jump over that line. And what we heard this year alone was astonishing on how many people just said, you know what? I can't be afraid of this anymore. I got to jump all in.
Right. And, I think historically speaking, a lot of people had an informational gap, right? Where it's just like, I heard of this big fancy word called entrepreneurship or small business owner, but I'm not sure where to start and what to do next. And I think in listening to the guests on our show and other shows as well, but there are a ton of other great shows that, host some of the biggest and best talent that's out there, and they're able to just get these how-tos. And so it's almost like these shows are giving like a DIY or like a do-it-yourself on how to get started. What's your step one? Well, listen to what some of the other step ones were for some of the people that were on the show.
Yeah.
And how did they go about that? And if you don't have the answer, or if you're not sure, listen to the next episode. You're probably going to hear someone else that's going to have a similar kind of triumphant, circumstance where they had to go from point A to point Z and they were able to do it.
I mean, right? You're constantly learning, right? You're constantly learning how to start, how to get better, how to sharpen your skills, how to move to the next level. There's never a situation where when you step out and you're building a business on your own, where you're able to say, okay, I've reached a plateau and I've got it all. And I don't need to learn anything else. Yeah. You're constantly learning. We're constantly learning. Everybody that we've talked to, it's constantly learning and adding on something else and adding something new, changing directions, making adjustments, course changes. A lot of people had to make course changes for 2020, and now they're coming out on top 2021 and probably going to be even better for 2022. Yeah, so totally. There's that constant learning that happens.
Totally agree with you. I think one of the things that I can say is a very real moment for me is the shameless plug I gave earlier, right? About the OscarFrazier.com brand, if you will. So Kiya has been like this phenomenal graphic designer and person that creates all sorts of like inspirational videos and design work and things like that. And one of the things that I've been doing is trying my best to figure out ways to become more of like this motivational speaker, right? Where I'm trying to get in front of people to discuss our journey and some of the nuances of what worked and what didn't work. Mm-hmm. And I've been always afraid of that because people that know me know that I come from a background of being extremely fast in how I speak. So I have to like intentionally slow down and speak like slowly, right? And then the second thing is I used to have a speech impediment where I would kind of stutter. Mm-hmm. So these two things, as I walk into a room or as I'm walking in front of a crowd to speak, those are always things that's on my mind. But what I can rest assured in is the fact that there are a ton of other public speakers and guest speakers that I've listened to and I've watched their journeys that they too have speech impediments. So they've got these things that they get nervous about when they walk in front of a room and they're still able to do it. So I'm saying all that to say this, for the listenership that did tune in to listen to all the various entrepreneurs, there truly is an opportunity for you. And it definitely lies in between the fear and the leap. And I think that that's something that we're all going to be, going into that journey of in 2022. And I cannot wait for us all to do that.
I think one thing to remember is that great things never come from a comfort zone. They never do. So you have to step out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
We've had to do that several times and continue to do that over and over again. And sitting in that comfort zone is not going to get you those dreams and those things that you want in life. You gotta step out.
Absolutely. And and let's have a very real moment, right? Because in the couplepreneur world, you're dealing with family, right? And that's going to be whether it's your wife, your husband, your children, and your extended family. So your moms, your dads, your uncles, your aunts, etc. As you're bringing them in to probably help you in different aspects of your business. One of the things that's absolutely going to be critical and important is to remember what your priorities are, right? One of the things that oftentimes we will run into is as you get into business with your significant other or your family members, etc., you will quickly learn that sometimes, we've all heard the terminology of avarice is the root of all evil, right? So greed or money and things like that can sometimes cause all sorts of problems. And what I would highly recommend is that you remember what your priority is.
Right.
If your priority is to be a husband or a wife first, no matter what, or a brother or a sister or uncle or a mother or father, all down that line first, then it's absolutely critical that you remember that, and that you don't allow the new business to take hold of what is most important to you.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, as most of you all know, earlier in the year, we got into, the trucking business, like a family business and things like that. And, it was something that we all were extremely excited about. But then again, as we still are very excited about it, but we also have to then begin to go back and remember to yourself and ask yourself, what's most important to me? As do I want to be a family member? Do I want to be do I want to just build a business, etc.? And then having to make tough decisions sometimes about those sort of things.
Agreed. So I think that, for me, what I see in 2022 is we're venturing out on some new projects. We're going all in for these projects. And I see us really getting back to the core of what's been driving us this whole entire time. And that's time and freedom.
Yeah.
And I think that we're on course to really get back some of that time that we've been missing, and also to get more freedom and flexibility in the things that we want to do. We're leaning more on the creative side of the house as well, which is I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
I would give you specifics, but I think y'all have to stay tuned for 2022 to get those specifics. So make sure that you tune in so you can hear more as we start the new year off.
Hint, hint, NFTs.
Oscar, stop spilling beans. Stop spilling. Oh, Lord have mercy. Can't keep water.
I know, it's tough. Yeah, those that know me know it's hard for me to keep a secret, but yeah, to Kiya's point, 2022, the early part, probably as soon as January 1, you'll start seeing and getting opportunities to really take a journey with us into some investments that I think would be well worth everyone's time and energy to get into it.
Yeah.
So top 3 shows, or you want to do maybe top 5. Let's do the top 5 shows that we could either laugh at, that we could either cry about, that we could either say was just like a lot of great information, or just whatever you want to kind of give as your superlative.
Okay, so one of the ones that stands out to me, and I'm not going to give like a top rating type of thing, because, I think all of our shows were great. But I think one thing that stands out to me is when we talked to the owner of Softway. And he was talking about love as a business strategy, and how the culture of his company started out very kind of hectic and fast paced, and truly was not built around the people in the company. And eventually he had to stop and think about that. And he saw where the failure was, and he recalibrated the company to be more human structured, right? And be more about having empathy for those people that you work with, creating a culture where people want to come to work, creating a culture where people feel like they can breathe and they're valued. And I thought that was so impressive, because a lot of times that's the reason why people get out of corporate space and run for the hills, is because they don't feel valued, and they don't feel like they are in a space where they can breathe and be creative and be their best person when they come to work. So I'm excited about applying that to all the things that we build in the future as well.
Yeah, and I think to that very point, and this is not to veer off from it, because we're going to go back to our top 5, but when we're thinking about how you actually establish a company and like from whence it actually came, let's think about it from this perspective. There are people that typically start on the entrepreneurial journey by like being self-employed, right? So they kind of work for themselves, or in a bit of a silo, for lack of a better word. And some people work in that for decades upon decades, and they're highly successful at that. When you begin to get big enough to where you have to start bringing on staff and teams and people and those sorts of things, it really does take a similar approach to what you said about the gentleman that actually has the company, when they're looking at it, it's like love being,
Muhammad Anwar.
I don't know if you want to say the name or not, but yes, when Mr. Anwar talked about that, that is to me how you truly scale a company, right? Because to go from a one body shop where you're just kind of like, you make all the decisions, you are the alpha and omega, so to speak. And then all of a sudden you're having to bring in a chief strategist or a chief operating officer, or you're bringing in, project managers or technologists, et cetera. And then they have their opinions and they have their expertise, and trying to determine how you bring them in so that way they feel like it's an inclusive environment is absolutely critical. And sometimes when you're a small business, you've been kind of already used to doing it your way. So it can be a little bit difficult at times to be able to make that adjustment.
It can also be scary from a standpoint of knowing exactly when to start bringing in staff, right? And knowing when to offload things. And I think that's a mistake that sometimes we make as well. Is like, you're so hands-on and you want to control that you don't even look up to realize, okay, I can't get anything done because I don't have any staff. I don't have people that I can offload to, and they can drive and run it for me. You know?
I think that also speaks to your point from earlier about like regaining your time and to be able to think, right? So I mean, as a leader or as an entrepreneur, you have to be a bit of a visionary as well, right? You have to be able to see into the future, see what's happening. And oftentimes when we elect to just kind of stay in the weeds because that's our safe space, think about the person who creates widgets that owns a company that's probably made, several million or several $100,000 per year. But then all of a sudden they're like, but I have no time with family or no time with the things that I actually want to do. So then it's hard to sometimes offload that onto a team of people. So that is truly like that nugget of when you're looking at like finding the right time to make that transition, just to ensure that you can actually get your life back and still stay up at that level of being the visionary as opposed to a worker bee within the weeds.
I think we need to do a scale your business show for 2022, but we'll keep that in the hopper. But I think that would be an effective one for some of the people that are already out there and have been successful and they're trying to figure out how to scale. And then for people that are also getting into this brand new, is like, build your business for scalability in the future, So
totally agree.
I think that'd be a great show, but we'll keep that in the hopper.
Yeah. Good one. Okay, another show that I thought was really, really good was when we had Nathan and Mrs. Brown on the show with us, that owns Daddy's Girls Bakery. So backdrop on Nathan first and then the company second. Okay. I've known Nathan since probably kindergarten.
That long.
I've known him since kindergarten, and him and I have always been friends since that time. And we went to obviously elementary school all through, and then in middle school, I believe he went to Drayton Hall Middle School, which if you're in Charleston, South Carolina, I'm probably revealing my age now. But he went to Drayton Hall. I went to C.E. Williams Middle School, and then. Yep. I don't know if the school are even open anymore. But then we both went to Middleton, which is no longer around either. But just in seeing and knowing Nathan those amount of years, and then to see what he's done with his baking company, and he and his wife, they have just built a phenomenal company. And their story that they told to us on the show, I was just so impressed. Yeah. And I've had some of their desserts, and I can be the first to tell you that I've not seen someone be so humble, a company so humble that actually has the level of talent that we actually have. And it is truly phenomenal. And they're right there in North Charleston, South Carolina. And again, anyone that's out there, please definitely take a look and look them up. They were impressive, not only as far as their backstory, but their actual talent in the baking and bakery arena, for sure. So
it's truly like it's a family business, but there's truly some love in what they're producing and putting out to the masses.
And it comes out in their food. Oh wow! Yeah, the food. You only can be someone who has to have had a love for what they do, right, to even remotely be able to be as talented as they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm holding you accountable. Who's the next one? You got somebody else in mind?
The next one? Okay. I think that The next one is,
or I tell you what, it doesn't have to be like a specific show. Maybe just like a sound bite, something that you remember, excuse me, from one of our shows that you would say was just, a remarkable moment.
I think that one thing that stands out is that you can recover from a tragedy and continue to grow as a person and build a business. I think there were some stories there where we had some people that had lost everything.
Yeah.
That had, down to their last cent, nothing left, and were able to rebuild, rebrand themselves, and really pursue their passions and create something great from a passion. So I don't think there's any point in life where failure is too great to not recover. I think that's one of the things that I learned.
Wow.
Failure teaches you what not to do the next time, and we can speak to that from, being in the restaurant industry and how we felt when we, sold the restaurant. But it also taught us how to be stronger and really taught us that we could build anything that we put our mind to, So don't look at failure as now I'm down and I'm out and I can't recover. Look at failure as okay, I made that mistake. I know not to make that mistake anymore, and now I can grow and move from it,
Absolutely. Excuse me, I promise it's not the Rona or anything, but I'm over here clearing my throat that many times there. It's just,
you said that on the air.
I think so many of us could probably relate. Whenever the seasons are changing, and I think those that were around in either the Atlanta or let's say the Georgia or the Carolinas over the weekend for the holidays, they probably can all relate that we were looking at 70, 75 degree weather, just beautiful weather. But just prior to that,
spring in December.
It was spring, but just prior to that was in like the 40s and 30s in Georgia and the Carolinas right prior, to the holidays. So I think if my voice sounds a little bit hoarse there, that's why. And I promise it's not the Rona there. It's just me, just clearing my throat there.
Okay, so what's another good moment for you?
I remember we had, I believe her name was Kiya Morgan of Keto Coaching. And we talked about this whole health journey. And the reason why I like that one so much is just because, Kiya and I had this overall journey in 2021 that, I lost close to 60 pounds and Kiya lost several pounds as well. It was all about, changing our diet and eating based on our blood type.
I lost 30 pounds. It's not your 60, but I still lost 30 pounds.
That's still significant. Yeah, you're right. It's not 60, but it definitely is 30.
Yes.
And but to have listened to someone that had a different perspective on that, because again, within Keisha's business, this one was focused on keto dieting, right? And our focus is on eating based on your blood type. So it was a great dialogue. I thought that, and I think that a lot of our listenership got a lot out of that one, and it was something that I think anyone can certainly learn from. But now let me steal some more thunder here.
Okay.
How many was that so far? Was that 4 or was that 3?
That was 4.
4? Okay. Interesting story. In 2011. I went to Vegas for my bachelor party. Sorry for all the background noises and emails.
All kinds of alerts and alarms.
End of year is always crazy for us. So if you hear everything there, I promise you it's not that we're over here playing a video game. It's lots of emails coming in and alerts coming in on our trading platforms. But nonetheless, I believe it was October of 2011. And I went to Vegas with a lot of my buddies. We were doing my bachelor party because I was set to get married with, obviously, Kiya. It better be. 1/21/12. And so we went out to the Vegas. We had just a phenomenal time. But there was just this vibe, if you will, from a group of people that we met up with. And we met them randomly, totally random at this, it was like a beach bar we went to, and we had a section out there. We were all having drinks by the pool, and it was just a really fun time and having cigars, etc. And so it was this group, and they were celebrating something as well. I believe they may have been celebrating a bachelorette party. I can't remember for sure. I know they were celebrating out there. So we all ended up, kind of all syncing up out there by the pool, having a great time talking, just great energy. And there was one person that just stood out. And it was because of her business acumen and the way that she really had this dream of setting up this jewelry company. And so when I first met Rena May, as her full name would suggest, she was just a ball of energy, a breath of fresh air. And she was someone that I just couldn't forget. I'm like, okay, she's just a really good person. So fast forward a few more years, I remember her talking about what she was going to be opening up something called May Jewelry. And I said, okay, sounds good, and we all went our separate ways. I think at that time, they were living out in Cali and we were over in the Carolinas, so totally across the map. All of a sudden on Facebook, I see this grand opening message a couple years later, and it's May Jewelry. And to just see how she grew in such a very short period of time was just phenomenal. And then we get her on the show. Mm-hmm. And it's I think it was episode 10 or something like that. Yeah. And she just was full of energy, full of motivation. And it was probably one of the better shows when it comes to just the soft skill side and the side that it's not just hard dollar crunching, mm-hmm. but just how do you actually find a balance and keeping yourself sane and happy as you're building a business. Yeah. Kind of putting out those things that are must-haves in life and building your business so that you're able to attain those things that are must-haves. Yeah. Like peace of mind. A lot of people don't think about that when they're building a business. They just think about go, work hard, hustle. Right, and then look up and get air later. But sometimes it's too late. Yeah. Sometimes when you look up, you've lost people, you've lost opportunities, you've lost yourself. And so that's kind of where. It's so critical to find and have a balance with the kind of business that we've all elected to do. It's just absolutely critical to find a balance. Yes. So close us out, Kai. How would you close out the year? Not like closing out the show, but the year. That's a big deal. Okay, so first of all, let me say thank you to everyone who has come on the Couple-preneurs Show and gave us candid conversation about being an entrepreneur, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, the ugly. We appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure our listenership appreciates it as well, because it's good to hear from other people that are just like you, that are out here trying to make a mark on the world and leave something behind as well. So thank you for that. I want to say happy holidays, no matter what you celebrate or what you do during this time of the year. I hope that you're having lots of laughs, you're getting a lot of love, you're getting a chance to spend some time with family, and just really appreciating the fact that we are here. I know COVID, we've been struggling with that for the last 2 years, and it's taken a lot away from a lot of families. So just appreciate the fact that you have family, loved ones to hold on to, and make sure that you express to them that you love them and hold them tight and near and dear. And then finally, I would say I am so super excited for 2022 and all the great things that are coming our way. I can't wait till the clock says 11:11, because then I'm going to shout it all out from the rooftop, what I'm wanting and what I want to attract from 2022. But definitely, I would say take the leap, get out of your comfort zone in 2022, no matter what that might be, and continue to learn. Learning is essential. Always pick up a book, read. Audible, because I don't do a lot of reading. I do a lot of listening, but that's just the truth. But I would definitely say I'm looking forward to what 2022 brings, and I hope the best for everybody that's listening. Yeah. Do I get to go as well? Or? Yes, you do. Wow. There's value in failing. Good. There's value in failing. As we've all heard from some of the greatest, if you're going to fail, at least try to fail forward, right? But you're going to have so many hurdles and so many, loopholes and things that you thought was going to go one way that just didn't quite go that way. And in 2022, we've got to get out of the notion of failing is a big faux pas or failing is a big mistake. It really is an opportunity, right? And I think that, and I'm not just speaking to everyone, I'm speaking to all of us, right? Even I'm speaking to myself as well, and understanding that sometimes taking that leap and something doesn't work out or something fails or doesn't go as planned is not a death sentence. It's not a death sentence. If we all look back of all the times we thought something was so critical we were never going to recover, but look at us now. Mm-hmm. We're still here, we're still standing. we're still working towards our actual goals. So despite of all the things between COVID and people that have lost loved ones and still trying to fight and claw their way through, just remember that, things happen for a reason. If we're going to fail, let's all try to fail forward in 2022. Let's not harp on the mistakes that were made in yesteryear, but remember that there's still a future for all of us. So again, happy New Year to each and every one of you. We love you. If you don't hear from anybody else, we absolutely love you. We love each and every one of you, the ones that have listened, the ones that have, listened only, even if it's one show or every show. We certainly appreciate, your support. Again, next year, our goal is going to be putting out some additional motivational, short clips that I think will be helpful to people as they decide to listen to them. And again, you'll be able to find out more about that out there at oscarfrazier.com. Kai, anything else?
Happy New Year, and let's make it the best 2022.
Salute to all you guys. Take care.
You've been listening to the Couple-preneurs Show. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.kothoughtleaders.com.